Money is hard to speak about because I didn't grow up talking about it. I didn't grow up having it. I didn't even grow up even understanding it. But what I did start to learn is that when you continue along your process, when you continue to show up, when you continue to learn, money is a topic that has to be spoken about in order to properly learn the capabilities of it and what it's for, the tool that it's used for, and how we can use it more often to have a better understanding of what it's for. And so I didn't grow up talking about money, and so speaking about money as I'm older is a lot difficult, it's a lot challenging, it's a lot overwhelming, because how do you know that it's okay to speak about money? How do you know that money is not evil? How do you know like money is here because it's a tool? And now that I'm learning more about the path that I'm on, the route that I would like to go on, and what I would like to pursue, money is difficult to speak about because I didn't grow up talking about it. I didn't grow up having it. I didn't grow up being around it. And life, in life, you grow in a way where you have to continuously to educate yourself. You have to educate yourself where you're evolving yourself, because as you're evolving yourself, you start to understand things that you really wasn't familiar with when you were younger. When I was younger, I wasn't familiar with the language of money, with the language and the topic of money, and now I'm learning and getting more educated behind everything that I'm doing. So if this is your first time here, welcome to another episode of Failure is Knowledge Podcast. Here at Failure is Knowledge Podcast, we speak about personal development, marketing tips, and podcasting strategies. Today, we're speaking about personal development, and I'm not going to lie, today is going to help me develop personally as well. So today, the topic is around money, and if this is your first time, make sure you hit that subscribe button, make sure you like and share this with a friend that didn't grow up with a lot of money, that want to understand what money is. See, I'm still understanding, I'm still learning, but I'm being vulnerable as I'm along the journey. So this episode is so incredible is because we all have to start from somewhere. We all have to start at the bottom and work our way up. We have to be willing to not fully understand what's going on around us to say that we can grow and develop even more. And as we're growing and developing even more, it's really just showing us that you have to learn a skill. And once you learn a skill, you have to keep learning the skill, because you can learn something new every single day. So that's all I'm running on the board, is that money is difficult to speak about. Money, hold on, it might be too far up. It might be too far up. Hold on, it might be too far up. Money is difficult to speak about. Difficult to speak about. There we go. Money is difficult to speak about. I remember when I was younger and I went to the gas station, went to the store, and my mama, she'd give me her card. Now at the time when I'm younger, I have no idea what a credit card is, what a debit card is. I just know it's a card and it's a plastic card. And so my mama give me the card and tell me go fill up the gas. So I go fill up the gas, and as I'm putting in the card, I get an option that says credit or debit. So I'm like, I don't know the difference between the two, so I'm just gonna put debit. So I clicked debit and it went through. So then I went to go ask my mom. So I said, Mama, what does debit and credit mean? And she told me the meaning, and the meaning that she told me, it didn't make sense because I didn't fully understand it. And every time I go in the store, I'm constantly looking at debit or credit. I had no idea what it was. And it was so confusing to me because every time I purchased something, I saw it. Every time I bought something, I saw credit or debit. Every time I swiped my card, I saw those two options. So I never understood it until I really started learning it. And when I started learning it, it really opened my mind. It really gave me a different perspective, because the perspective that I had was one that came from me not understanding what it even was. So I had to get educated on what I was doing. I had to get educated on how I was going about doing it. And they taught me that it's difficult because we're not learning it. Money is difficult because it's not something that we're learning. And so when I was young, I used to hear a lot that money is the root of all evil. Then as I get older, I hear it again. I'm like, How's the money the root of all evil? Don't we have to buy? Don't we have to use money to buy things, to eat things, to go places? Like it. What makes the tool evil? It's kind of like I have a hammer, but I'm using the hammer for a nail. And what I got from it is that money is evil by the way you use the money. Just like a hammer can be used evilly by the way you use the money. And so it was so confusing to me to really fully understand that money is not evil, that money is good, that money is not evil, that money is good, because I don't know what to believe. I don't know what to see. I really don't know what to understand, because it's so confusing, because money is difficult to speak about. It's so overwhelming, because how do you know that you're speaking about something that you know what you're talking about? Money was so overwhelming because we didn't come from money. We didn't come from money. My mama was a single mom raising 3 boys by herself. And so she was doing the best she could to provide for us. So to be honest, I don't think money even came about. And as I was younger, I remember one time we went to the bank. We went to the bank and we ended up opening a bank account for myself. My mom was there and she ended up opening a bank account for me. For me and my twin brother. And as we there opened the bank account, okay, we have a place to store the money. Okay. Where's the money? Where's the money? Oh, you gotta go get a job. Oh, you gotta actually go work for the money. Oh, you gotta earn the money. So money was difficult to speak about because we wasn't talking about it on a daily basis. So then I really started paying attention to what I was doing. I remember I used to work at McDonald's. And every time you used to buy something, they used to give us a receipt. And if you fill out the survey, you get a free sandwich. And so I spent a lot of money. No, I spent not that much money, but I spent money on the survey. I spent money on the burger to get a survey to get a free burger next time. And the next time I do the same thing. I buy a burger, get the receipt, fill the receipt out. Then I got smart with it. I saw other people going to McDonald's and they had the receipt, but they was balling the receipt up and throwing it away. I said, if you're not going to use that receipt, let me get it because I can do the survey and get a free sandwich. So it wasn't the fact that I was playing the system. I was doing what they said. If you do the survey, you get a free sandwich. I completed the survey. I got a free sandwich. You see, money is difficult because we're not speaking about it. We're not talking about it. We're not learning it. And so when I became more aware of the route that I would like to go, I had to be willing to uneducate myself to educate myself. You see, that's the first point I want to hit on, is that you have to uneducate yourself. Educate yourself to educate yourself. Okay, this is a little long. In other words, you have to be willing to unlearn the information that you have, to learn new knowledge, a new perspective, and again a new understanding. So it wasn't the fact that I didn't have a lot of money to get McDonald's. I was working at the movie theaters, like right across the street from it. And as I was working at the movie theaters, I had enough money to eat. I had enough money to survive. But it's different. When you start to get bills and get a little bit older, the money that you have, it's not that much. It's not that much. So the money comes in, the money goes back out because you're spending it on what you would like to have. I remember my first pair of Jordans, them jokers was $207.10. It was the Oxydol 14s. I thought those shoes were so clean because I purchased those with my own money, the money that I earned, the money that I worked for, the money that I built within my hours, or within the hours that I was working. And so when I built the money from working at the movie theater, I started buying shoes. I started buying what I wanted. I started buying things that I had a desire for. So I started buying shoes, gas, food, and I wasn't paying attention to it. And I wasn't even trying to pay attention to it because I see the money coming in. At the time I had I don't think we had a car. No, at the time I just had to pay for gas. So all that money that was coming in, it was going back out because I wasn't paying attention to it. I was young. And then I was young and uneducated. because I wasn't educating myself. I didn't know how to educate myself. More than anything, it was really, we didn't come for money, so we're not going to talk about money. We didn't come for money, so we ain't going to even act like we got money. We didn't talk about money, so why is it even important? You see, in life, you have to be willing to educate yourself when you are not. You have to be willing to uneducate yourself, to educate yourself, to learn something new, to learn new information, to learn a new topic. Money is difficult to speak about because I didn't grow up speaking about it. Money is difficult to speak about because I didn't grow up having it. We survived, we got by, but as far as seeing money just build, I didn't know what building even was because I was so used to the money coming in and the money going out. You see, the reason why I want to speak about this topic today is because it's going to help me even more to speak about money. It's going to help me develop even more because if I'm willing to be vulnerable about what I do not know, I'm willing to learn from something that I can know, that I can develop, that I can grow in. Because it takes time to fully understand what you're doing because you have to pay attention to how you're doing it. You have to pay attention to it, and until you pay attention to what you're doing, just like I just paid attention to this board, you have to pay attention to what you're doing because it matters on how you're doing it. Life is going to show you what you put your focus to. That's what you gain a better understanding of. I remember when I played football, all my focus went to football. So I was watching film, I was working out extra. I was really focused on football. And when I got on the football field, my results showed because I was prepared. I was prepared for it. I was prepared behind the scenes, and when I got in front of the scenes, it showed. It showed. Favorite streamer professionally. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate that. And it shows that when you actually put your attention to something, you get better in life. It just doesn't seem like you're getting better because it's so slow. The movement in time doesn't feel like it's going fast. It doesn't feel like it's increasing. What it does feel like is that it's taking forever for you to learn the skill. It takes you forever to gain this knowledge and for you to be aware of the knowledge that you're learning to know that it's helping you. When I was training extra, when I was playing football, I was D1. It was called D1 training facility. And at the D1 training facility, they training athletes up to be prepared to be better. And so when I went to the workouts, and the workouts was tiresome. Like it was like really pushing me because I just left one practice. Now I have to go to additional practice because I want to get better. My energy was focused on that. My time was focusing on that. My attention went to my skills because I wanted to develop even more. I remember this one time it was off season. It was off season. During off season, I remember this one time it was like a little jumping pad. It was kind of like machine that not the football, but the basketball players use. So you get a belt and you wrap it around your waist and you get like what is it called? Stretch bands. And you hook it on your belt, Now you got two. Now you get another one, hook it on your belt, hook it on your belt. So as you're jumping, it's weights that you're pulling. Not necessarily weight, but it's like bands. But the bands is powerful, it's strong, and they got some weight to it. And so as I'm training and my attention is on my body, my attention is on my effort, my attention is on this time, I'm preparing to be better. So as I pay attention to it, I have to actually do the workout. And as I'm doing the workout, I'm tired. I'm overwhelmed. I'm still pushing myself. You see, to learn about money, you have to be willing to push yourself to learn what it even is. What it consists of. What's the meaning behind it? What's the purpose of it? See, when I was younger and my mama was a single mom raising 3 boys by herself, we didn't talk about money. Money wasn't the topic. Money was never the topic. What was the topic was structure, discipline. Like she gave us a way of life, a way of thinking. But as far as sitting down and just really just going over like the money aspect, okay, so this is the money that comes in. Then when it comes in, like this is what you're supposed to do. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not taking no credit from my mama. She did teach us how to. She taught us how to pay the bills, how to be responsible. But there's more than just paying the bills and being responsible. Paying the bills and being responsible, that's great. That's phenomenal. Okay, so once the bills and your responsibility is paid, what do you do with the remainder of the money? When I was younger, I was spending that money on everything. I remember my senior year, me and my twin brother, I don't advise this. This is not financial advice. This is just my story, and I'm just sharing what I'm learning. Okay, so me and my twin brother, it was our senior year, right? And so as it's our senior year, it was our senior year, and as it's our senior year, we stopped showing up to school early. Like, school started around like 7:45. We'll probably get there around like 8:30, 9 o'clock. Every single day, we got up, got dressed, and went to Sonic. Because Sonic was like maybe 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes. It was in the direction that we was going, so we could stop right there. You know what I mean? Like, it's in that direction. It's not like we going the opposite way and then going towards going to Sonic. No, like, we'll leave the house and Sonic will be on the left, and then we go there every single day. I remember my order so good. I used to get a medium ocean water with strawberries, the slushy. Then I used to get a toaster with strawberry and jam jelly. So we're spending the money every single day, because when I got paid the week, I got paid 1 week, and then my brother got paid the next week. I got paid 1 week, then my brother got paid the next week. And so my twin brother, we was like, hey man, we going to Sonic? Yes sir. Yes sir. We going to Sonic. And so we going to Sonic, spending a whole bunch of money, not knowing that we're not paying attention to the money that's leaving. Because we know that it's coming back. Next week we got the money. Next week it's going to come back. Next week we can have the money. This week I got you, Tim. That's his name. That's my twin brother's name. Tim, I got you, bro. Don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it. Tim used to get I think he used to get the French toast. French toast with slushy, what is it called? Ocean water. Ocean water. Like, that food was good. It was good. And since we didn't talk about money, it made it even better. Because we didn't have to pay attention to it. We wasn't aware of it. We wasn't acknowledging it. And so when I was playing football, all my attention went towards football. When I started to learn about money when I got older, I'm like, oh, what is this? Okay, yes, I know how to be responsible. Yes, I know how to pay my bills. Yes, I know how to survive. But as I'm older, I just don't want to survive. Right? So as me and my twin brother just going to Sun again, the same thing every single day, every single morning, every single week. We're getting the same food every single day. And that's not to count lunch and after school. That's not to count that. Every morning we went to Sonic because we wasn't paying attention to the money that we were spending. We wasn't aware of the money that we were spending. And as the money we were spending, it went from, let's just say, I'm throwing them out there. Let's just say we had maybe $200 for Monday through Friday. By Friday, we probably had 10 cents. I'm talking about 10 cents. 10 cents. Let me see. Let me show you. I'm talking about 10 cents. From $200 to 10 cents. Then we're like, yeah, okay, don't worry about it, man. We're going to get paid next week. We're going to get paid next week. Don't even worry about it. Don't even stress. Because we coming back to Sonic. Our attention was on Sonic, and every morning we got Sonic. You see, when your attention is on your knowledge, what you are learning, you are developing even more. Because you are paying attention to it. Your attention, your energy is going here. Because as it's going here, you're developing your awareness for it. You're developing the way you're learning for it. And so when I first got my bank account, when I was maybe 15, I think you can get your bank account when you're 15. I got the bank account, but then I'm like, okay, I got the bank account, so what's next? Oh, you gotta go get a job. You gotta go get a job. I remember when I was like a kid, I used to hear people say, man, enjoy while you young, because when you get older, it ain't gonna be the same. I'm young. I'm like, what does that even mean? Like, okay, like, what does that even mean? Enjoy while I'm young? I'm trying to enjoy it, but I can only enjoy it so much. So what does that actually mean? So people that were older than me were saying, man, enjoy your youth, enjoy you being young, because when you get older, it's going to be a lot different than you think. It's going to be a lot different than you expect, because you have to be willing to not only learn, but to understand what you're learning. You see, what I didn't fully understand is that when you learn something new, it takes time to fully understand what you're learning. I said, oh, okay. So you have to be willing to take time and put time into what you're doing. As you're putting time to what you're doing, you're gaining a better understanding of it. And it taught me that when you have to be willing to uneducate yourself. You have to be willing to unlearn so you can learn something new, aka educate yourself in the area that you're not familiar with. Because the area that you're not familiar with, you can get better in. You can improve, you can develop, you can understand a lot more than you can ever imagine. And so, since my mama didn't really talk about money like that, okay, yes, when money come in, make sure your bills is paid. Make sure you're responsible. That's it. And it's not that it's a bad thing that I didn't learn it. My mama did her best she could. She was a single mom raising 3 boys by herself. She wasn't worried about no money. She was worried about providing for us. So what I learned when I got older is that there's a different way of thinking, and you have to really understand how you're thinking the way that you're thinking. And so when I fully understood, as I'm starting to understand that it just takes time to be aware of what you're doing and how you're going about doing it, why it's so important, why it matters. Because money is difficult to speak about because we're not speaking about it. Money is difficult to speak about because we're not paying attention to it. Money is not difficult to understand because we're not trying to understand it. I remember my 10th or 11th grade, my 10th grade year, I was at a position that I wasn't familiar with. I was in a position that I wasn't great at when I was playing football. And so as I'm playing football, my 9th and 10th grade year, I was playing a position called bandit. Now, I have a pretty good size. I'm a pretty decent size. I'm not the fastest, I'm not the strongest, but I got some size on me, right? And so the coach, the defensive coordinator, he put me at a position that I never played my whole entire life. My whole life I've been playing linebacker. Then when I get to high school, my position changed, and now I have to learn this new position, this new role, and this new responsibilities. And as I'm trying to learn it, I'm not getting it. As I'm trying to understand it, I can't understand it. As I'm putting effort to it, at least I thought the effort I was putting in mattered, I'm not seeing no results. Then one day my coach, he was talking to me, he was speaking to me. He said, Humphrey, you a high rep guy. I said, high rep? I said, no, I ain't, coach. I said, yeah, I'm good. I didn't know what he meant. He said, now, Humphrey, you are a high rep guy because you need a lot of reps to get better. I said, oh, okay. And at the time, I didn't fully understand what he was saying. I didn't fully understand why he said that. He said, you are a high rep guy because you need a lot of repetition to understand what you're doing. In other words, you need a lot of practice so you can fully understand what you need to do. It wasn't the fact that I wasn't good, because I wasn't good. I just wasn't understanding. You see, money is a difficult topic to speak about because you have to understand what it is. You have to be willing to understand what it is and how it can be used. Yes, you have to have it to buy anything that you need, anything that you want, because you just can't walk in and get everything that you want and need. You have to pay it in some way, in some form, in some shape. You have to exchange the value to get what you're looking for. And so when I was learning about what I was doing and how to go about doing it, I started to change my perspective when I didn't understand what I was doing. Not just with money, but just with everything that I came across. And it showed me that when you are focused on what you are doing, when you pay attention to your strength, when you pay attention to how you doing it is improved, because you're not only educating yourself, you're uneducating what you thought you knew. You're uneducating what you know. might be right. Just because it seems right doesn't mean it is right. What it does mean is that you have to learn what right actually is. I mean, when I was younger, like in elementary school, when I was a kid, they said my mom, okay, before school, my mama taught us our left and right, how to put our shoes on, how to get dressed, how to, be independent as a kid. So we was learning how to depend on ourselves, how to depending on ourselves, like we was developing. And so one day in class, my teacher say, raise your hand. Okay. Now raise your other hand. I said, okay. Did it. She was like, now put your hand in the middle and tell me what eye you're looking out of. I'm like, what does that even do? So essentially you have to like do this, but you like, what is it? Hold on. Yeah, you kind of like put your hands out there, but whatever eye the hand focus on, that's like the dominant hand you are, or something like that. Then I'm like, oh, I'm a kid, so I just do it. I just do what I was told. Come to find out, which I kind of already knew, but it confirmed that I'm left-handed. I'm left-handed, which means I write with my left hand, but I do everything else with my right. What I learned about people who are right-handed, they write with their right hand and don't do everything with their left. Like they don't even love their left hand. They don't even love their left hand. So when I was younger, I knew I was different, not just because of the hand that I wrote with, but how I went about learning things, by how I went about understanding new information. And so when it taught me that you have to be willing to be different to learn the information is going to help you, when it's helping you, it's bettering you, it's educating you, it's putting you in a better position. It's putting you in a better position because you are focusing on getting better. You are focusing on learning. You are focusing on developing. You see, money is so difficult to speak about because we're not talking about it. We're not learning it. How do you learn about something that you're not familiar with? I wasn't familiar with money because I was familiar with the free surveys. With the free surveys to get a sandwich. To get a free sandwich. Because I wasn't familiar with money. Yes, the money came in. And as the money came in, the money went out. As the money came in, the money went out. And now I gotta wait 2 more weeks. Or a week and a half. Depends. And as I'm waiting, I'm just waiting. I'm waiting because I ran out of money. I now have 10 cents left. To go from having money to no money, it ain't that hard. You know what I mean? So growing up, we didn't really talk about money and the importance behind it. Why is it important to have some money? Why is it important to not spend it all? We didn't grow up talking about that, but I have to educate myself to learn what it actually is. So I want to look up the definition of money. Like, what is money? Definition of money is, I'm going to look it up right now. Hold on. Money definition. Money definition. And the Google definition of money is a current medium of exchange in the form of coins and banknotes. Coins and banknotes collectively. And then it says sums of money, the assets, property, and resources owned by something or someone, aka wealth. So aka wealth. So life shows that if you're willing to learn, if you're willing to develop, if you're willing to educate yourself, you can unlearn the information that you have to be fully equipped with the knowledge that you need to gain for you to be better, for you to improve. And the reason why that's so important is because it shows that you're willing to develop. And the reason why that's so special is because when you develop for yourself, you're learning for yourself. You see, MD Ronnie say that's nice. You're live today and amazing your YouTube channel. I appreciate it. And so money is so difficult to speak about because we're not paying attention to it. We're not aware of the money that we have. I remember I did a podcast a couple years ago, and we did the podcast together, and she was saying how, oh no, I remember who was it was my homegirl. How her credit, she went over on her credit. And at the time, I didn't think you can go over on your credit. Like, I had a basic understanding of what credit actually kind of was. I didn't fully understand it, but I had some knowledge to it. And what I didn't recognize was that when you have credit, you have to really pay attention to it. When you have money, you have to really pay attention to it. When you have a thing that you're working on, you really have to pay attention to it. And so at the time, I had a $500 credit card, and I was just using that for gas. I was just using that for gas. And so it made me not fully understand, but how me pay attention to how we're spending it. So $500 might not seem like a lot of money, but I wasn't spending it on everything because I got my first credit card at the age of 16. When I got my bank account at 15, probably a couple months after, I probably turned 16 and then got my credit card. So when I got the credit card, now that I go into the store and I see debit and credit, I'm kind of able to understand it. Like, I'm kind of able to fully like understand what it actually is. And at the time, I still didn't fully understand what debit and credit was because I didn't know the difference. I wasn't fully educated. Yes, I had a credit card. Even though I had a credit card, it wasn't something that I really understood. I barely even understood debit, so how can I understand credit? And so what I really started to pay attention to is that money is difficult to speak about because you have to be willing to educate yourself on the information that you do not know. And you have to give yourself time. That's the next point to hit on, is that point number 2, give yourself time. You have to give yourself time. Yourself time. You have to give yourself time because for you to learn something new, you have to understand what the language is. For you to be aware of what's being said or what's being described or what's being explained, you have to give yourself time to fully understand it. So when I was younger, my mama never talked about money. So where can I go to learn about money? It ain't my mama. I love my mama, but it ain't my mama. I have to find a place to learn about money so I can understand what it even is. As much as I love my mama, I can't go to my mama for money advice. Excuse me, because it ain't gonna go nowhere. I'm listening to this book, The Richest Man in Babylon, and he said if you want to learn something new, you have to go to someone who has done it. Not someone you know, but someone who has done it and who has the results. And when I heard that, I said, that make a lot of sense. Because if you go to someone who has done what you are currently interested in, they can guide you along the way. They can guide and teach you along the way because they're showing you what's possible, what you can have, why it's good to learn. So now I have to be willing to learn from strangers. I have to be willing to learn from others. I have to be willing to learn from people that I really don't know. And even though you don't know them, that doesn't mean you can't get value from them. You see, money is difficult to speak about because we're speaking about it to the wrong people. We're speaking about it for the wrong people. And when I learned that money isn't bad, it just depends on how you're using it. Just like with everything else, a hammer can be bad, depends on how you're using it. But if you're putting a picture on the wall, you need to hammer a nail in the wall, is that bad? If you want to go to the gas station and get some candy, is that bad? If you want to go to the gas station, you have a car and your gas is running low, and as your gas is running low, you have to pull over to get some gas. Is that bad? You see, money, it said money is a currency. Money is, it say some of the money, no, it say money is the assets, property, and resources owned by someone or something. And to have money is that you have to pay attention to what you're doing. To have money is that you have to be willing to pay attention to it. The reason why money is so hard to speak about it is because we're not talking about it at home. And when I was younger, I wasn't talking about money like that. I didn't even know how to talk about it. I was nervous to speak about it because we didn't have none to talk about. We didn't have no money to speak about. And since we didn't have no money to speak about, guess what? We didn't speak about no money. Because we have no money to talk about. You see, as I'm giving myself time to learn more about why money is difficult to speak about, I have to be willing to be vulnerable and share my experience. I remember one time I was starving. I had 47 cents in my bank account, and I was working, but I was starving. And at the time, I was working at the movie theater, and I didn't want to eat no popcorn or eat the food that was there because I only had 47 cents. So I'm thinking up to myself, like, how can I feed myself right now? Because I'm hungry, I'm starving, my stomach is empty. How can I fill it up? And then it hit me. Oh, if you fill out a McDonald's receipt, if you fill out a McDonald's survey, you can get a free sandwich. And so the people that I was around, they didn't have a receipt, a McDonald's receipt. They didn't go to McDonald's. And so I had to go outside of the people that I knew to get a receipt from someone that I didn't know. So I went to McDonald's. And then once I went to McDonald's, I'm looking at the people who walking in and out, in and out, in and out. And then I see one who walks out. And as they walking out, I approach him and say, hey, excuse me, sorry to bother you, but I got a question. Do you still have your receipt? They was like, yeah, I got my receipt. I said, do you mind if I get it? Because I'm trying to go to McDonald's and complete the survey so I can get a sandwich. They said, sure, why not? You see, the people that I was around the first time when I was looking for the receipt, I was around the wrong people because the wrong people didn't have the receipt. They didn't go to McDonald's. And so I went to a different location. I went to McDonald's where people were going in and out. And as they're going in and out, I see people who has a receipt in their hands. You see, as I'm learning about money, as I'm learning about why money is difficult to speak about, I have to be willing to go learn. I have to be willing to go. I have to be willing to be in the environment. Because I have to be around people who are speaking about money because it's foreign to me. It's foreign to me because I don't fully understand it. It's foreign to me because I grew up in a single parent household. My mama raised 3 boys by herself. And we didn't talk about money. We didn't speak about money. And so I have to get around someone who is currently speaking about money. So now I have to be willing to learn how to ask questions about their experience, their perspective, their thoughts when it comes to money. Like, is money evil? Well, if money is not evil, why can't I have it? If money ain't evil, why don't I have it? It gotta be evil. Or you just gotta be uneducated. You see, I had to really look at myself and say, yeah, okay, you grew up in a small town, and as you grew up in a small town, that's not bad. It's not the end of the world. Now you just have to be willing to learn something new. It goes back to the first point, is that you have to uneducate yourself to educate yourself, because you have to be willing to learn something new. Because when you're learning something new, you're able to identify words, terminology, definitions of something that you are never familiar, or that you're not familiar with. Today's my first time looking up the definition of money, and it surprised me. It didn't say money. The definition of money is evil. It surprised me to say the definition of money is that you can't have it. It surprised me because it said the definition of money is dang, what did it say? Hold on, I forgot what it said. My bad. Okay, money. When I looked up the definition of money, it didn't say. Dang, I forgot what I said. The definition of money is the assets, property, and resources owned by someone or something. So if you own something, if I own this marker, I have it. But just because I have this marker doesn't mean I have money, because I spent it to get the money. So now I have to be willing to learn what the money is. So as I'm getting things, what does that even mean? Is money actually evil? Is money actually good? Or is money just something that you use? See, if I don't have a marker, I can't write on this board. If I don't have a marker, I can't write down my thoughts. If I don't have a marker, I can't erase what I've messed up. You see, to erase what you are messing up, you have to see what you are writing. Money is difficult to speak about because we're not talking about it and we're not around the people who can help us understand it even more. Not just the people, but what about the books? What about the YouTube, the Instagrams, the podcasts? What about the different scenarios when it comes to really developing personally? Who can I go to? What can I learn? And why am I learning this information? The book that I'm listening to right now, well, actually, I'm listening to a couple of books. Nonetheless, that doesn't matter right now. The book that I'm listening to is The Richest Man in Babylon. And as I'm listening to it, it's making sense that in order to have money, you have to understand what it even is. This is my first time looking at money, and the definition just blew me away because it didn't say it was evil. It blew me away because it didn't say it was good. It blew me away because it said it's an asset or what is it? Asset or protection or something like that. It says an asset, property, and resources owned by someone or something, aka wealth. And so now I have to get around others who have built up their wealth, and as they're building up their wealth, they're willing to teach it. They're willing to teach the knowledge, because I have to be willing to unlearn where I came from. Because even though I came from a single parent household and that she raised 3 boys by herself, we didn't talk about money. I have to be willing to uneducate myself to learn about money rather than not learning about money. Because I have to be willing to break the habit that's been built within me for so long. Money is difficult to speak about because we have to be vulnerable. We have to pay attention. We have to acknowledge something that we don't understand. And the reason why that matters is because when you start to understand what you're doing, you start to fully be willing to get more information for it. You are willing to get more information because the information that you're getting is so good. It's showing that you can learn a lot more. And as you're learning a lot more, it's showing that the path that you are on, the path that you are focusing on, will show that you are on the right path. Life is going to show you that you have to give yourself time to learn the information that's coming to you. You have to give yourself time to be willing to be open to information that you don't fully understand. School was so confusing to me because you have to really sit down in different classes and learn new information. And within a couple of weeks, you learn this information, now you get tested on it. In life, you can take as many tests as you need before you fully start to understand what you're doing. School, you can take the test, you can fail, you can retake the test. Because you have to be willing to comprehend the knowledge. You have to be willing to understand the knowledge. You have to be willing to fully be aware of what you're reading so you can have a better acknowledgement of what you're doing. We didn't talk about money because it was hard to speak about. We didn't talk about money because we didn't have no money to talk about. How do you go from not having the money to understanding what the money is? You have to be willing to learn. You have to be willing to educate yourself. Because if you're not taking the step to be educated, you're going to be uneducated because you're unwilling to learn. And that's important because it matters the way you develop. That's important because it matters the way you grow. That's important because you can learn. You just have to be willing to learn as you are going along your process. As you are going along your journey, the journey that you are on is going to show you why you are on this journey. Why you are learning this skill, why you are learning this information. The information might not make sense today. I was in a statistics class a couple months ago, and as I'm in this class, he said I didn't use statistics or the knowledge that I learned in this class while I was in this class. It was when I got out of this class when the knowledge started to make more sense, when the information started to make more sense in what I was doing. When I was in class and had to study for it, I wasn't really paying attention to it. When you pay attention to the knowledge that you have, it begins to make sense in a new way, in a different perspective, in a new new development because you're able to develop even more for yourself. You're able to not only test yourself, you can ask questions because the questions that you're asking is coming from the test that you have taken. The reason why that's so important is because when you give yourself time, you are willing to be patient for the knowledge. You're willing to keep learning. You're willing to keep putting yourself out there. You're willing to keep trying. Because the more you try, the more you grow. The more you try, the more you develop. The more you put yourself out there, the more you are learning a skill for yourself. And it's so magical to say that money is so difficult to speak about. And the reason why it's magical is because I have to be willing to admit it to myself. I have to be vulnerable enough to say, growing up, I didn't fully understand money. I didn't really understand the importance behind it. In fact, when I went to gas stations and I paid with a credit card or a card, I didn't know the difference between a credit card and a debit card. A credit card is the bank's money, and a debit card is your money. And your money would be quicker than the bank. Because my money was always gone, but the bank money was always there. That credit card is completely different because you start to pay attention to what you're doing. You start to pay attention to how you're doing it. And it shows that when you gain the knowledge, when you gain time, when you give yourself time, you can only continue to develop. When I was at the age of 16, when I got my first credit card was so special to me because it was mine. Like, yes, I have my debit card, but now I got both. I got credit card and debit card. Even though I don't know what a credit card and debit card is, I got both of them. I got two things with my name on it. I got two cards with my name on it. You see, money is so difficult to speak about because we're not talking about it. Money is so difficult to speak about because we're not challenging ourselves to learn about it. Money is so difficult to recognize because we're not aware of what we're recognizing. You see, life is going to show you that you have to be willing to learn something new, to gain something new that you don't even know that you can have for yourself. You see, the reason why money is so difficult to speak about is because we have to start speaking about it. We have to start speaking about and being vulnerable about what we don't fully understand. I'm speaking about what I don't fully understand because I'm learning how to understand it. It's going to take time. It's going to take patience. It's going to take awareness. And the awareness that I'm developing is that I'm paying attention to it even more. I'm paying attention to it even more because I'm putting my time into it. You see, the last point I want to hit on is that you have to be willing to keep going. No, you have to be willing to uneducate yourself, to educate yourself, give yourself time, and let me see. The last one is that you have to be willing to ask questions. That is a big one. You have to be willing to ask questions. Number 3, be willing to ask. Be willing to ask. And that last point is so important because you can't be embarrassed by the question that you're asking if you want a better understanding of what you're doing. I remember when I was younger, when my mama, she was strict. She was mean. You know, I did a live a couple weeks ago, and I kept saying like, my mama was mean. My mama was mean. She was, what was her name? I believe her name was Adrian. She said, was she mean or was she assertive? I said, great question. To me, she was mean. To me, she was mean. To me, it can go both ways. And so when I was younger, my mama used to say, like she'd tell me go do something, and then as she's telling me to do it, and I don't do it her way or the correct way, which is her way, then I don't have common sense. And then as I got older, it wasn't the fact that I didn't have common sense. I just didn't do it your way. There's different things. There's different ways to approach a situation, and everything is not common. Your way is not coming. My way is not coming. Your way is what works best for you. And so when I was younger, it used to hurt my feelings a lot. It used to, like, son, you ain't got common sense. I literally just said, go get the hammer and put the nail on the wall. Now, in my mind, I got the hammer and I put the nail on the wall. But it wasn't how she wanted it completed. I didn't do it wrong. I just did it my way. I just did what I thought was right. And as I got older, I had to learn that my way wasn't always right. It was just something that I was familiar with. So how do I improve my way when I don't fully understand what my way actually is? You have to be willing to learn a new way. Learning a new way is so challenging because you have to be willing to ask questions. So if my mom would have said, son, go get this hammer and put it on the nail, and I would have came back and said, how do you want the nail put into the wall? Like, where exactly do you want it? Do you want it on the left side? Do you want it on the right side? Do you want it right in the middle? Like, where do you want this needle that's going in this wall? Or this nail, not needle, but where do you want this nail that's going into this wall? If I would have learned how to ask questions earlier, I would have kept asking a whole bunch of questions. But since I wasn't familiar with the questions that I needed to ask, nor did I want to be disrespectful, because I thought that was disrespectful asking questions and questioning everything, I would have probably asked a lot more questions. And so I probably would have asked a lot more questions than I have when I was younger. Because when you ask questions, you're gaining a better understanding. When you ask questions, you're gaining clarification. When you asking questions, you are understanding for yourself. When you ask questions, asking questions is not bad. I was at this event a couple months ago, and a person came up. They opened the floor to ask questions, and once they opened the floor to ask questions, it was a line full of people. It was a line full of people that was there. And so when the people that was there who was asking questions, the first one who asked the question, the person that was in the audience said, I had the same exact question. And then the next person who asked said the same exact thing. You see, sometimes when you're asking questions, you're not only asking questions for yourself, you're asking questions for people who are around you who are thinking the same exact thing. Y'all thinking the same exact thing in a way where it's like, dang, I had that same question. Y'all not sitting by each other, y'all not talking to one another, but y'all have the same question. When you're asking questions, you're willing to gain a better understanding, not only for yourself, but for you and for others who are around you. And when I was in high school, they said no dumb question is a bad question. All questions are a great question, because if you don't understand, that means someone else don't understand. If you don't understand, that means you are gaining a better understanding. You are clarifying for yourself. You see, when you clarify for yourself, you have to be willing to raise your hand and ask questions. Because as you're asking questions, you have to be willing to learn. You have to be willing to grow. You have to be willing to continue to understand things. I remember before I went to the University of South Florida, as I'm talking to the administrator and the counselor, they telling me that I can't come to the school because I don't have a certain degree. I don't have a certain not diploma, but certain, what is it called, degree or something like that. And so as they telling me this, like, you need a associate's degree to get in this program, in the business program, and as you get into the business program, you have to have it. Like, there's no ifs, ands, buts about it. You have to have something to say that you can qualify to be in business school over here. But I didn't. And so as I'm asking the questions, I'm like, wait, so you're telling me, like, even though I have some credits, even though, like, I went to college previously, like, I still can't get into the school? He said, yes, that is correct. I said, okay, just to clarify, I have the credits from different schools, but I still can't get into this program that I want to go to, that I want to do? He said, yeah, that is correct. I said, okay. Just to clarify, I'm clarifying again. It doesn't matter the amount of times that you clarify. What does matter is that you get the point. You understand it. If you leave and you don't understand, you haven't asked enough questions. So when I was speaking with the guy, I probably asked him the same questions 5 different times so I can understand for myself. You have to be willing you have to be willing to ask questions so you can understand for yourself. Once you understand for yourself, now you are more aware of what you're doing. When we was younger, we didn't really talk about money because we didn't have money to speak about. So how can I really start speaking about money when I don't fully understand it? I have to learn it. Have to be vulnerable enough to say I don't fully understand what this is, and as don't understand it, I have to be willing to learn what it is. And as I'm learning what it is, I have to really just be willing to ask questions to strangers, to people who are currently doing, who have a better understanding than I have, because it'll help me even more. It will help me even more. I remember I was at this conference. I just thought about this. Remember, Jesus Christ, this was one of the first couple of conferences that I went to, or seminars that I went to. And I was speaking to this guy named Eric. Eric was a phenomenal businessman, phenomenal investor, phenomenal everything, right? And so this guy, Eric, he's probably in his late 40s, give or take. And so when I met him, I'm just having a casual conversation with him, just asking like simple questions like, what do you do? How long have you been doing it? I wasn't asking in-depth questions because I didn't fully know him. I really wanted to just, see where this conversation goes. And as we're speaking to one another, he ended up pulling out a check. He ended up, what a check is like a written balance, shows how much you're going to get, and then when you deposit, that's how much you get. It's not a penny short, it's not a penny more. Like whatever the number is, like say hypothetically speaking, it's like $1.10, and it's written as a check. You're going to get $1.10, nothing more, nothing less. And so as I'm talking to this gentleman, as I'm talking to him, he's been in business for as long as I've been alive. So he's in business. He's doing good. He's speaking about money. Then all of a sudden he pulled out a check. He had a jacket on. He pulled out a check. He opened his jacket. He went in and it was folded up. He said, man, I want to show you something. I said, okay. He pulled it out and he opened it. He let me see it. And on the check, it was $843,000. In one check. In one check, this man had $843,000. I've never seen that much money before on one piece of paper. Never. Not even once. Never. He said, yeah, man, I just did this little job, this little project and got this check. What project you doing, sir? What project you doing? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what it takes to get to there, but what I knew is that he was speaking about money. He was educating himself around money, and as he educated himself around money, he's willing to show the proof. He's willing to say, "Hey, look what I got." And I got this because I educated myself. I got this because I learned. And I was willing to unlearn information to learn new information. I want to read the definition of money again. And the definition of money is the assets, property, and resources owned by someone or something, aka wealth. I was watching this event virtually, and as I'm watching the event, they broke down the definition of wealthy. They said wealthy is you have to be well to be healthy. I said, that was good. The way you just broke that down was crazy. You have to be well to be healthy. And when you're well and healthy, you're wealthy. I said, ooh, that was different. Growing up in a small town, being raised by a single mom, and she raised 3 boys by herself, we didn't talk about that kind of language. We didn't talk about that kind of information. We didn't talk about money because it was so hard to speak about because we didn't have it. It was so hard to speak about it because we didn't have it. So how do you talk about something that you don't have? You see, this event, they said wealthy, you have to be well to be healthy, and when you're healthy, you're wealthy. I said, ooh. I'm in the right room because I want to continue to learn. I want to continue to evolve. I want to continue to understand what this even is, because as I'm understanding what it is, I'm getting a little bit better. I'm giving myself time because I'm willing to ask questions. I remember when I was in San Diego, before I left there, I went to this event and there was a billionaire in the room. And when the billionaire came in the room, I didn't know what a billionaire looked like. Like, I never been around it. Like, I never saw it in person. So how are you supposed to know what a billionaire is supposed to look like? So I saw him when he walked in, kind of like the light flashed on him. I don't know if they did it intentionally, but the light flashed on him. Like, yeah, he's a billionaire, but why is he a billionaire? And at the time when I'm in the room and I'm in this event, he's walking in, he's speaking, he's talking, and he's teaching about money. And so as he's teaching about money, he opened the floor to questions. So I ended up getting a microphone, and I'm just waiting. I'm like, okay, what question am I going to ask? I got one chance, one opportunity, one question. What can I ask? So I have the microphone. I'm waiting. I'm thinking. I'm waiting. I'm thinking. I'm waiting. I'm thinking, and nothing's coming to me yet. And so the billionaire, he's talking, he's speaking, he's educating us, and he's teaching us. And as he's teaching us, I'm constantly thinking about what I want to say. And I got one shot. And then he get done speaking, and then he was like, who next? I'm sitting right in front of him, and I have the microphone, like I'm sitting right in front of him. And he was like, yeah, what's your question, man? No, he didn't say man, I just said man. Yeah, what's your question? I got up, stood up, introduced myself. Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Terryl with the Wild Humphrey. And my question is, for someone who is aspiring to become a billionaire, what advice would you give? Now, at the time, I don't know where this question came from, but it came out so good. I introduced myself, I said my question, and this was his response. Don't stop at a millionaire. I'm sorry. He said, don't stop at a million. I'm thinking he misheard me. I'm thinking like he misheard me. Like I said, million. No. I said, this is what I said. I said a billionaire, like with the B. He said, yeah, I heard you. Don't stop at a million. He said the exact same thing that you just said before. I'm not even at a million. But I was in the room with someone who was speaking about money, who gave me a different perspective, who were talking about money, who taught me something new about money. When you're in the room, when you're in an environment of new information, you have to be willing to ask a question to gain a better understanding. Because money is difficult to speak about because we're not speaking about it. We're not talking about it. We're not educating ourselves about it. And since you're not educating yourself about it, it's going to be just troubling to understand it. Because you have to be willing to uneducate yourself, to educate yourself, so you can be willing to understand what it even is. And when you do that, you have to give yourself time, because you have to give yourself time to learn what you just heard, what you just read, what you just seen. You have to give yourself to fully comprehend what's been said and how it's been delivered. Because when you do that, you have to be willing to ask questions. Because when you ask questions, you are gaining and getting better. Because when you get better, when you do better, you get better because you learn better. And don't be afraid to continue to learn about money, because money is something that we have to use. Like, we can't live without it. Is money really evil, or is evil because we don't understand it? So if you got value from this, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you like and leave a comment below on if you think money is difficult to speak about. Leave a comment your biggest takeaway. I would love to hear from you. What is your biggest takeaway when it comes to money? Leave in the comments below. I appreciate y'all, and then I'll see y'all later.